what a week in crypto, huh? I don't know about you, but I'm still kind of spinning from all the ups and downs.
Yeah, felt like a bit of a roller coaster out there.
It's a lot to keep up with, that's for sure, but that's exactly why we do these deep dives, right? To help make sense of it all, even if you don't have, like, a whole team of analysts working for you.
Absolutely. We've been combing through the headlines, digging into reports, and basically filtering out the noise so you don't have to. We've got the top 10 crypto stories of the week, all prepped and ready to unpack.
Think of us as your crypto cheat sheet, giving you the insights that actually matter. We're talking Bitcoin, Coinbase, Binance, SEC delays. The White House even jumped into the crypto pool this week.
Definitely a lot to cover.
Where do we even begin?
Well, I guess the logical place to start is with the big guy, Bitcoin. I mean, you saw what happened with the price, right? Took a bit of a plunge, dipped to below 77,000 for a hot minute.
Yeah, I saw that. Kind of had me sweating there for a second, but then it bounced back up pretty quickly, over 80,000 again. What was going on there?
It was a bunch of things, actually. I mean, there's always that background hum of regulatory uncertainty. Everybody's kind of waiting to see what the governments are going to do next.
Which always makes everyone nervous, right?
For sure. And then on top of that, you've got the whole macroeconomic picture. Fears about inflation sticking around and the Fed maybe raising interest rates again. That kind of stuff tends to spook investors, makes them less likely to take risks, which includes investing in crypto, even Bitcoin.
Makes sense. It's like everyone's holding their breath waiting to see what happens next. But Bitcoin did rebound, which is a good sign, right?
Yeah, it definitely shows some resilience, which I think speaks to the growing maturity of the market. It's sensitive to these external factors, but it's not getting completely derailed by them. The $80,000 mark seems to be pretty key here. If it can hold above that, it's a good sign. If not, we could see it testing that 75,000 support level.
Gotcha. So Bitcoin's on a bit of a tightrope walk right now, but it wasn't just Bitcoin that was feeling the pressure this week, was it? The whole market seemed to take a hit.
Yeah, you're right. That same combination of regulatory worries and economic jitters, it kind of rippled through the whole crypto ecosystem. You could definitely feel the risk aversion in the air, led to some, let's call it strategic selling in certain parts of the market.
It's like everyone hit the pause button at the same time. You could even see it reflected in that crypto fear and greed index, right?
Oh, absolutely. Took a nosedive from greed all the way down to neutral.
Yeah.
Shows you how quickly sentiment can shift in this space.
No kidding. So a lot of folks hitting the brakes, waiting to see how things shake out. But I did see some analysts talking about how these dips could actually be good buying opportunities.
Yeah, that's the classic buy the dip mentality, right? When prices drop, it can be a good chance to get in at a lower cost, especially if you're in it for the long haul and you believe in the fundamentals of a project.
But it's not without risks, of course.
Definitely not. We're still in a pretty volatile phase. Things could easily swing back the other way. So anyone looking to buy the dip needs to do their research and proceed with caution.
Words to live by. All right, let's move on to some of the bigger moves happening in the industry. Coinbase setting up shop in India, that's got to be huge news.
It's a big deal. They just registered with India's Financial Intelligence Unit, which is basically their first step towards launching retail trading services there later this year.
India is a massive market, and they're really embracing digital tech over there. That's got to be a huge potential growth area for Coinbase.
Yeah, the potential is massive. India has a young, tech-savvy population that's increasingly interested in crypto. Coinbase getting in there early could give them a big leg up. It's a bit of a gamble, of course. The regulatory landscape in India is still developing, but it's a gamble that could pay off big time.
Definitely one to watch. Speaking of big moves, the CEO of Binance, Richard Tang, had some interesting comments about the potential impact of U.S. crypto regulation.
Yeah, he was talking about how if the U.S. were to pass what he called pro-crypto legislation, it could set a precedent for the rest of the world. Other countries might follow suit, which could be a game changer for the industry as a whole.
He even brought up Operation Choke Point 2.0. Can you remind us what that was all about?
Yeah, that was back in the day when there were rumors that the U.S. government was putting pressure on banks to cut ties with crypto businesses. It was a pretty tense time for the industry. So what Tang is suggesting is that the U.S. could go from kind of trying to stifle the industry to actually becoming a leader in promoting it.
And if the U.S. gets on board with crypto in a big way, it would be hard for other countries to ignore, right?
Totally. The U.S. is still a major financial powerhouse. What they do has a ripple effect globally. So, yeah, if they create clear, positive regulations for crypto, it could trigger a wave of adoption and innovation around the world.
Fingers crossed that happens. Now, in other U.S. news, there was that White House crypto summit this week, which was a pretty big deal, right?
It was. It was the first time the White House has ever hosted a summit specifically focused on crypto. So that alone is significant. It shows that they're taking the industry seriously, recognizing that it's here to stay and it's going to have a major impact on the economy.
What was the vibe like at the summit?
From what I read, it was pretty formal, serious business. No major policy announcements came out of it. But the fact that they held the summit at all is a good sign. It shows they're willing to engage with the industry, start a dialogue. Hopefully, it's a step towards creating a more collaborative and supportive regulatory environment in the U.S.
We can hope. Now, on a slightly less positive note, the SEC seems to be dragging its feet when it comes to approving those crypto ETFs.
Yeah, they delayed decisions on a bunch of them, the ones for XRP, Dogecoin, and Litecoin. It's kind of their MO, to be honest. They've always been super cautious about approving anything crypto-related.
Which must be frustrating for a lot of investors who are just looking for a more straightforward, regulated way to get exposure to crypto.
Totally. ETFs would make it so much easier for everyday investors to get involved in the crypto market. But the SEC is worried about potential risks, market manipulation, that kind of thing. So they're taking their sweet time, which is a bummer for a lot of folks who are eager to jump in.
It does feel like the U.S. is lagging behind a bit on this front, but hey, there was some good news on the regulatory front this week, right? The House voted to overturn that IRS rule on DeFi.
Yeah, that was a big win for the DeFi community. That rule would have been a nightmare for DeFi platforms. It would force them to collect all sorts of data on their users, which is basically impossible given the decentralized nature of DeFi.
So it was basically a threat to the whole DeFi ecosystem.
Pretty much. Thankfully, the House saw the light and voted to kill it. It's a good sign that lawmakers are starting to understand the unique challenges and opportunities of DeFi and that they're not going to just slap on regulations that don't make sense.
Progress. And speaking of pushing for clearer regulations, Senator Loomis is back at it with her Bitcoin Act.
Yeah, she's been a champion for sensible crypto regulation for a while now. This bill is all about bringing clarity to the space, creating a clear framework for how Bitcoin and other digital assets should be regulated.
And a big part of that is classifying Bitcoin as a commodity, right?
Exactly. Right now, it's kind of in this gray area, not officially classified as either a commodity or a security. That makes it hard to figure out which regulations apply.
So making it a commodity would simplify things.
It would. It would put it under the jurisdiction of the CFTC, the Commodity Futures Trading Commission, which generally has a lighter touch than the SEC, the Securities and Exchange Commission. So that would be a big win for the crypto industry.
It sounds like a step in the right direction for sure. Now, this last one was a bit of a curveball. An executive order from former President Trump about creating a crypto reserve. That was unexpected.
Yeah, it came out of left field. Apparently, the idea is to create a strategic reserve of cryptocurrencies, including Bitcoin and a few others. It's not entirely clear what the purpose of this reserve would be, but it's definitely a sign that the U.S. government is starting to think seriously about the role of cryptocurrencies in the global economy.
It's a pretty big shift from just a few years ago when crypto was seen as this fringe thing, right?
It is. Now they're talking about holding national reserves of it. It just shows how far the industry has come. And it'll be fascinating to see how this plays out.
No kidding. Last but not least, the report mentioned how the crypto market is reacting to all the economic news, especially inflation numbers, and what the Fed is doing with interest rates.
Yeah, the crypto market's gotten a lot more sensitive to the overall economic climate lately. Like, when the inflation data came out lower than expected, crypto prices jumped. But then they dipped again when there was talk of potential trade wars that could push inflation back up.
So it's like the crypto market is holding its breath, along with everyone else, waiting to see what happens with the economy.
Exactly. And with the Fed still kind of figuring out what to do with interest rates, there's a lot of uncertainty in the air, which means we can probably expect more volatility in the crypto market for the foreseeable future.
Buckle up, folks. It's going to be a bumpy ride. Well, that was a whirlwind tour of the week in crypto, wasn't it? We covered a ton of ground, from Bitcoin's wild ride to Coinbase's big move into India to that surprise executive order on a crypto reserve.
And we didn't even get into all the details.
Right, there's always so much happening in this space. But hopefully this deep dive has helped you make sense of some of the key developments and what they could mean for the future of crypto.
That's our goal, to give you the insights you need to stay ahead of the curve, even if you don't have time to follow every twist and turn.
Now, here's a thought to chew on as you head into the weekend. We saw a lot of different approaches to crypto regulation this week, some more open, some more cautious. What do you think is the best way to foster innovation in this space while still protecting investors? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. Until next time, happy hodling.